Many people who are old enough to remember the early 2010s with clarity no doubt know of the show Doomsday Preppers. For a lot of people looking for knowledge, it was something that might have caught your eye. Sure, the first few guys they had on the show were kind of off, but they always used to have at least one person who seemed grounded in reality.
Damn thing just misfired on it. Dim?
How bad could it be? After all, it was sponsored by Draeger Equipment, the Wise Food Storage Company, and the United States Gold Bureau. Of course, the show's producers started to target sensationalist talking points and the extreme, leaning into the absurdity and spectacle. For a lot of preppers, this was another facet of insults aimed at a large community that encompasses so many views, so many beliefs, with the core belief being that people should be prepared for emergencies. The ratings were just too good. It was National Geographic's highest rated show in the history of the channel. This did nothing to help the average person's view of preparing for disasters. It's not that preppers don't deserve any measure of criticism. There are a few views and loadouts that range from impractical to concerning.
You got any more of that dog food?
However, if that kind of nuance and awareness is lost to a huge number of members in the prepping community, can you imagine how many people in what's termed normie land saw any level of preparation as potentially extreme? The producers of the show don't care, it's revenue. The sponsors probably didn't care, anything to get the message out there. It's why I'm so against the Chicken Little method of spreading the message.
The sky is falling. A piece of it just hit you on the head. Now be calm. Don't get panicky. Run for your life!
It creates this dichotomy where on one side you have a group who's prepared for many different scenarios, and on the other you have a group thinking that everything is fine and that life goes on. The cold analysis is that technically both groups are correct, and both have crazy views that need to be hashed out, discussed, dissected, and then prepared for. This show is modern-day shock mass media. It's a show that bargained that people love seeing spectacle, whether it involves politics or life in general. One that makes them feel normal, part of the larger group of the quote-unquote reasonable majority. If not in that safe majority, they're part of an elite group who are no longer asleep and are seeing the world for what it is. It's cliquish, fitting-in type behavior. I've seen it in off-roading lifestyle vlogs and Instagram communities. Preppers are led to believe that they need specific things or they're not up to snuff. They feel the need to have a bug-out location despite already living in the countryside. They need pano nods because their favorite guy has them. Never mind the fact that for their idol's lifestyle, situation, expected threats, demographic profile, and occupation, that these things would make sense for them, but really only them and those around them. People want to return to a time and life where the past is romanticized, where the realities of that time are glossed over. In fact, the rate of infected benign cuts in teeth leading to death were obscenely high by today's standards. They romanticize a past that never was. It is a fantastic escape away from the problems of today. And that's exactly the type of feeling and thought process this show and shows like it preys on. Escapism. It wasn't even to shift any kind of narrative, at least not from Nat Geo's point of view. It's strictly based on revenue. It doesn't matter what Wise thought they were doing, or Draeger, or US Gold. It's cash for views and advertisers. As it happened to pan out, we also got movies like World War Z and Contagion around the same time frame. For AMC, that was the start of their biggest series hit, The Walking Dead.
Don't be afraid, okay? Little girl?
Zombies weren't boring anymore. The end of the world was exciting, and secretly, people within the government seemed concerned that the concept of being prepared for a disaster was now increasingly fringe. If a disaster hits and no one was prepared, all forms of aid and backstops would be overwhelmed instantly and crushed with the amount of attention that the population would require. Infrastructure repair is already decades behind. In comes the CDC, making preparation at a basic level palatable for discussing at dinner time by introducing the concept of getting ready for a zombie apocalypse. Of course, they weren't shy about stating the goal that if you're prepared for a zombie apocalypse, you're prepared for most major disasters that you'd see in the USA. All of this was a circular psyop to get people back into a baseline before pop culture destroyed any kind of desire for the average person to even have a med kit at their house for fear of being labeled a crazy prepper fanatic that's on their first steps to becoming a guest on Doomsday Preppers. The underpinned thought process here pretty much said that the vast majority of people are like children that should be guided and told to be brave in the storm. But let's turn off the TV and think really quick. After the last 3 years, do you agree with them?
But it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is.
If you have a physical covering with one layer, you put another layer on, it just makes common sense.
We can't trust the unvaccinated.
Screw your freedom.
Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Though declaring the pandemic phase to be over, Dr. Fauci also said he will be skipping the White House Correspondents' Dinner. His reason? COVID precautions.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping humanization before it's entered the market? No.
Who are believing the lies on the internet instead of science. It's time to start shaming them. What else?
I threw the script away. I mean, who is gonna believe that crazy idea?